The Earth, a world of water. Nearly 3/4 of our planet is covered in a massive blue patchwork of seas and oceans. What lies beneath the surface is an alien realm we've barely begun to explore. Within these depths, mysterious and amazing life forms live in a beautiful but fragile world of immense variety and environmental extremes. This is a journey into the wild deep, the last frontier that is just waiting to be uncovered. About 1,000 miles off the eastern coast of Africa and just 4 degrees south of the equator, the Republic of Seychelles lies in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The beautifully picturesque Seychelles archipelago is made up of 115 islands. These specks of dry land form an area the size of a small city, but are scattered across a strip of the Indian Ocean larger than the state of Montana. The isolation here has helped to preserve the island's incredible natural riches. More than half of the land on the Seychelles is now a protected nature reserve, and 30% of the marine territory is protected. In these warm, shallow waters, the reef never sleeps. Corals rise like skyscrapers, creating a three-dimensional home for communities of fish and invertebrates. A mantis shrimp keeps an eye on its surroundings. Reef fish are mostly active during daylight hours and spend nearly all of their time foraging for food and mingling alongside thousands of other wildlife. Some catch a conveyor belt of ocean currents to commute to their own particular feeding grounds. The reef's movers and shakers hang out wherever the currents bring a delivery of fast food. Mazes of coral holes and alleyways are never far away in case they need to hide if their predators arrive. Coral reefs occupy less than 1% of the ocean floor, but they are home to 25% of all marine species. An emperor angelfish is making its rounds on the hunt for food, but it's got a hitchhiker. A small blue-striped cleaner wrasse is tagging along. It eats the dead skin and parasites from the body and gills of larger fish. It's a beneficial partnership for both fish. The wrasse gets a meal, and the angelfish gets cleaned. Cooperation is the key to success for many of the reef's inhabitants. Clownfish will chase away an anemone's predators in return for protection from its stinging tentacles, which they themselves are immune to. Nearby is an omnivore that specializes in eating sponges. It's a hawksbill turtle. They get their name from their small, narrow head and hawk-like beak, which they use to probe crevices in the reef in search of food. They are selective feeders, choosing only certain species of sponges, including ones that are toxic to other animals. Their striking protective outer shell helps shield them against predators such as sharks, but it also makes them a target for fishermen. Humans have hunted these turtles for their beautiful shells, as well as for their meat and eggs, vastly lowering many populations around the world. After wandering the planet for several million years, this graceful ocean traveler is now hovering dangerously close to the edge of extinction. On the surface of the reef, a powder blue surgeonfish grazes on algae. They get their name from the scalpel-like projection located on both sides of their tail, and when needed, it's a formidable weapon against predators. Worldwide, there are over 100 species of angelfish, 11 of which reside in the waters surrounding South Africa. This is the royal angelfish, also known as the regal angelfish. Its bright and bold colors make it one of the most striking to see. They are a very solitary species and are rarely found in pairs. An angelfish's name is a bit misleading. They don't always act like angels. This semicircle angelfish has a secret weapon, a sharp spine on each gill cover, which they use to defend themselves against predators. Soldier fish are on patrol. They're armed with sharp spines and scales, but it's their synchronized shoals that resemble military formations that inspired their name. Unlike many reef fish, the soldiers are most active at night. Their large eyes provide them with enhanced night vision. There are 35 species of sweetlips. They travel in clusters, often associating and swimming together with other similar species. Each variety of sweetlips is distinctive. And their look ranges from pajama-like stripes to bold zebra print. But all species do have one thing in common: a set of large protruding lips that they use to suck up small fish and crustaceans. A reef full of predators means that smaller fish have to keep a constant eye out for their larger neighbors. This 1-inch-long ghost goby fish does its best to mimic the sea pin that it lives on. Gobies are the largest group of marine fishes and account for a major part of the planet's small tropical reef fish. Sea pins are named after their feather-like appearance that resembles an antique quill pen. They are formed from a colony of polyps that don't produce exterior shells. The goby stays as close to the sea pin as possible, swaying along when it moves to keep safe from its predators. Above the reef, a solitary jellyfish maneuvers through the water. Any small creatures that become entangled in its long, trailing tentacles will find themselves in a deadly, stinging embrace. Jellyfish are extraordinary. Their bodies are mostly translucent, but algae living within their tissues can add remarkable hues that give them an almost bizarre, otherworldly appearance. At the most southwestern tip of Africa, the Cape Peninsula juts out into the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean. This rocky peninsula in South Africa has many coves and beaches that both tourists and locals love to visit. But one beach also attracts a different kind of flock. Boulders Beach is a rare nesting site for the only penguin species found in Africa, black-footed penguins. They are well adapted to live in a warmer climate. They spend most of their day feeding at sea. By panting, exposing their feet, and evaporative cooling, they are able to stay cool in the hot African sun. There are very few places in the world where people can get this close to a breeding colony of penguins. Five miles offshore, low outcrops of rock provide a perfect hangout for thousands of Cape fur seals. But this particular piece of real estate lies in the middle of a very dangerous neighborhood. This spot is known as Shark Alley. The presence of so many seals makes this narrow stretch of water a magnet for great white sharks. Great whites are very curious by nature and are known to quickly approach boats or investigate a fisherman's catch. They are the largest predatory fish in the sea. Their torpedo-shaped body is propelled by powerful tail muscle that can produce a speed of up to 25 miles per hour, which they use to strike seals from below. Unlike most sharks, great whites are partially warm-blooded. Maintaining their swimming muscles at 5 degrees higher than the surrounding water keeps them primed for action in the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Although there's a good deal known about great whites, this top ocean predator is still an enigma to scientists. Sharks tagged in South Africa have surprised researchers by reappearing as far away as Australia. Their intelligence, reproductive behaviors, and social lives remain a mystery. Great whites are one of the world's most fascinating creatures, and they continue to grip our imagination. There's over 120 miles of untamed wilderness that fringes the eastern Cape of Africa. Although the terrain here is rugged, it hasn't prevented local cattle herds from making their way to a beach to commune. Every year in June and July, one of the greatest marine spectacles on Earth happens right off this coast. Massive swirling shoals of sardines have begun their annual migration. Each fish is about a foot long, but the shoals they form are so large, they're said to be visible from space. The sardines' home range lies in the southernmost tip of Africa, but for a few months each year, they expand their territory by moving along the coast towards the richer feeding grounds in the Indian Ocean, over 600 miles to the north. A fast, warm, south-moving current squeezes a narrow strip of cold water tight against the African coastline. It's this cool water corridor that the sardines use to make their annual pilgrimage. But the confines of this channel leave them trapped within shallow coastal waters that prevent them from maneuvering or escaping the countless predators that are in their hot pursuit. Homing in on millions of migrating sardines, groups of common dolphins lead the charge. 20,000 of them may join the hunt, teaming up into superpods that can be as big as 5,000 strong. Together, they sweep along the coast until they find the sardines. Circling above, Cape gannets wait expectantly. It's believed they tailor their breeding cycle to coincide with the migration, timing it precisely when their young are able to fly. So by the time the sardines arrive, they can take advantage of the feast. Deep below, bronze whaler sharks get ready for the hunt. They may be large, but these sharks are fast swimmers and are even able to leap out of the water. They begin taking their positions while the dolphins catch their breath in the calm before the storm. South Africa's coastal waters are not only renowned for the annual sardine migration, they're also home to some of the continent's most vibrant and colorful coral reefs and fish species. But their dazzling designs aren't just for show. Color plays a vital role in communication, mate selection, and defense. It's believed that fish see colors much differently than humans and can detect wavelengths of light that are invisible to our eyes. Many species of fish can see the ultraviolet end of the color spectrum. And when it comes to competing for mates, research shows that the most brightly colored fish are the most successful. Their flashy colorings also allow them to melt into the background of corals, rocks, and ocean. Is this a batch of seaweed or an octopus? The reef's flamboyant residents live in a kaleidoscopic world full of messages, and they communicate in a language of color that we're only just beginning to understand. Humpback whales launch themselves right out of the water. These ocean giants are heading straight to their polar feeding grounds and won't be distracted, not even by a huge bait ball of sardines on its way. The sardines won't have to worry about them as predators, but that's where their good news ends. Storm clouds herald the arrival of the migration. Wave upon wave of sardines huddle into shoals that can be 4 miles long, a mile wide, and 90 feet deep. As the sardines move en masse, the predators roll in to finally reap their reward. The sardines maneuver as if controlled by magnetic forces. Their choreographed display both confuses their pursuers and prevents them from targeting any one individual. But the dolphins are master tacticians. Working together, they harass the sardines by blowing walls of bubbles to cut off their escape route. Eventually, they succeed in splitting a small group away from the main shoal. The bait ball is now over 60 feet high and is surrounded by predators. As the sharks enter into the frenzy, there's only one place left to go. In a final bid for escape, the sardines head toward the water surface, only to come within range of the Cape Gannets that launch a precision aerial strike. From nearly 100 feet above, they swoop down over 60 miles per hour to grab sardines from 30 feet below the surface. In less than 20 minutes, the bait ball will be wiped out. In the weeks ahead, the sardines will lose many battles like this, but ultimately, they will triumph. Their vast numbers guarantee that enough will survive to continue their dramatic cycle of life. A strategy that ensures the survival of many. But for these unlucky few, it's game over.